So where do we go from here? Parents, again, completely at a loss as to what really is happening to their P6 children and below. They just don't know. Again, I make the point that you guys are elected to solve these problems, but you signally fail to do that.
No, well, whenever this process commenced, when the current Education Minister took up post, the Minister told us that she was going to go out and build consensus. So I assumed that that was on the basis of listening. But unfortunately what has happened is that the Minister has failed to listen. She has failed to recognise not only the legal position, but the reality on the ground. Parents do not want their children to be chosen for a particular school on the basis of what's in their lunchbox. Because
you talk about talking and listening, but the Minister points out that on 2 occasions the Executive has refused to discuss her proposals.
Well, again, that just lets you see that this Minister has a real difficulty with facing up to what is the truth. Let me deal with the issue of the Executive. When she brought her proposals in May, there was a proposal which was made by the SDLP, not by the DUP, that there would be a subcommittee of the Executive established to discuss her proposals and others. Did the Education Minister want to discuss any other proposals? No, her way or no way. When we come to the Executive, which was held last week, remember, it wasn't the DUP that blocked the discussion. It was Sinn Féin who would not discuss the issue of the maze. So here we have a party that goes round the country and tells the world that it was the DUP that blocked. But the facts are that Sinn Féin wanted to use another political issue to ensure that they bullied their way. And it's a politics, Noel, of bullying. Okay. And we've had their violence for 30 years, and they're not going to bully in the classroom.
Answer that point, her way or no way.
Well, we can do history lessons, and we can use this show to have a history lesson. I have sat on this show along with Mervyn and yourself on many, many occasions and discussed, should there be an 11 plus or should there not be 11 plus? There's not going to be an 11 plus.
Right, but this is about academic selection, not about an 11 plus.
But there's going to be academic selection.
We have moved on. The Minister has issued guidelines, and I think that's what the discussion needs to be about. Those guidelines and the advantage they give to schools who use those guidelines. They are legally protected by using those guidelines. Those schools who set their own tests and use academic selection, as the DUP claim they secured in St Andrews, are bringing themselves into a legal minefield. And for me, it is a perilous journey they do not need to take. I believe that the vast, vast majority of people involved in education...
where is the legal minefield?
Yes. The legal minefield?
These guys don't have any legal force.
There is 1,300 challenges to the 11 plus every year.
A school... you mean a legal minefield from the point of view of parents?
Yes.
Bringing cases against
certainly,
schools?
Certainly, and the tests...
Not the Minister or
No,
the
parents will be clearly asking of schools, was that test set properly? Was that result correct? Why did my child not get into that school? And I also believe, and quite correctly so, parents who will not put their children through a test will be challenging schools.
So why did the Minister not produce her own test, which she was going to do at one point?
Let me finish this point. There will also be children who do not sit the test. Their parents will be challenging schools. Why are you not letting my child...
So why did the Minister not go ahead with producing her own test, which was at one stage on the card?
Yes, well, because the Minister was part of a compromise proposal. It was a 3-year compromise proposal which would allow those schools who said they weren't ready for all ability intake to get ready. That was rejected by the TUP, as was the statement by the 4 churches, rejected by the DUP.
See, I was reading one commentator this week, Mervyn Storey, who said this was an issue that had no sectarian, historical, troubles-related significance, and the Assembly could not bring it together. What does that tell us about how this Assembly operates, and what hope is there of any resolution on controversial issues like policing and justice?
Well, what it tells us about the party that currently holds the portfolio for education is that they're incapable of moving away from their ideological position, because...
So are you?
No.
You've just got a different one.
No, because the situation is that my party has listened to what people are saying out on the street. Remember, we went to the public with numerous public meetings, and remember, the criticism that's been levelled today is not at the DUP for the failure to deliver. We have delivered. Now what we are saying is...
I'm sorry, you haven't delivered,
well,
because schools don't know what's happening. What have you delivered?
Well, we have delivered we have secured academic selection, the right of schools to say that it is on the basis of academic merit that you can enter that school, not on the basis of where you live, not on the basis of what's in your lunchbox, not on the basis of a social agenda. That is clearly driven by a party that's held by ideology. Now, I want to ensure in our educational system that we have equity. There is no equity in a situation that we find ourselves in today, where a minister issues guidance that is of absolutely no legal standing.
Yes,
we've made that point. Go ahead.
I say it again. There's no point in us doing history lessons on this subject. The guidance.
What's next?
What's next is the guidance. The educationists are away studying the guidance, and I hope and I believe that debate will be full and frank. And for the first time within this debate, the secondary school sector, the forgotten sector within this debate, are making their voices heard. And I hope that voice is heard loud and clear throughout the education system. They are as equally good educationalists as the grammar school sector.
We never said they weren't.
Gentlemen, must leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.